I would just vote Republican. And a lot of these people are doing that without actually knowing what is being said.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Kian.
And this is the Dan and Can podcast. On a quick turnaround episode of the Dan and Can show. Usually we give ourselves a couple weeks before we put these out, but this week we have a special pertinent topic that we wanted to get out and make sure we do. And so recording this on Tuesday and I'm putting it out for tomorrow. So when you're listening to this, if it's a little choppy, but it shouldn't be. It should be as choppy as it usually is. We're going to do it. So we're going to talk about some recent events here and kind of the unique position we're in. But before we do that, we want to keep it kind of in our still format. And maybe this will hint to it a little bit. But let's kind of get to know Candy and I a little better here. Okay. So, Candy, to get to know you just a little better.
Hey, we didn't even do that. Hi, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right at the beginning.
Just like out of it. All right.
Thanks for paying attention.
Just like a robot. I'm Can.
All right. What's the wildest or most ridiculous thing you ever believed when you were younger that you look back on now and just shake your head?
That Jesus was going to return in the clouds.
That's not what it said. That's not how they say it. They say Jesus is coming in the clouds.
Okay, Jesus was coming in the clouds.
So, you really think
that we were going to leave, that there was going to be a rapture and we were going to escape through the ceiling and our clothes would all be folded and on the floor?
See, I didn't have much of the rapture thoughts when I was younger.
No, you didn't.
I mean, we really never taught anything. I mean, Revelation was kind of this weird. It saved you a lot of trauma. Yeah, it was kind of a weird book at the end of the Bible, but there wasn't a whole lot of teaching on it. I think a lot of the stuff that was Catholic oriented would be more of the demonic possession and exorcisms and stuff like that.
Even though we had our fair share of that too. Yeah. So we took that as almost like Protestantism, whatever. Took that and then one-upped you with the rapture and end time stuff. Yeah. So took the Catholic Church teachings and then made them even more worse.
But I think some of that was because my dad watched The Exorcist. And it was probably in the early 80s. So I was under 10 years old and watched it with me. Mm-hmm. Or let me watch it with them. That gave me a nice few weeks of thought.
Like nightmares?
Yeah, just demon possession. And
did you ever ask him, like, Dad, how do I know I'm not demon?
Okay. Really?
Not your family. Did he ever have a conversation with you about it?
No. We just watched it and all right,
I think your dad, I think he almost just like checks out when he's watching TV. Like he's not even there. He's kind of like I was at the beginning of the episode here. Did we say the introduction?
And then he sees something. He has to tell everyone, see, damn liberals want to get rid of dogs because they fart too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think that was a big one for me. All right, let's go with the second question. Have you ever gotten into a debate or an argument and halfway through you realized, wait a second, I don't believe that I'm arguing for anymore. Whether or not you realized that you didn't believe this when you started the argument or your perspective changed mid-argument, but you're so damn stubborn to be right that you kept arguing for the point you didn't even believe in anymore.
No, I don't. I think I've had some where I'm like, where I'll be like, oh, okay, I can see your point of view in the middle of it, but I think I would say it. I'm trying to think of a specific example. But I've never had somewhere where I'm arguing something that I don't believe and continue to argue it. That, you know me, that I would not do well with that.
Yeah.
Can you see me arguing something I do not believe in?
No. I can see you passionately arguing for something
I
you
would
do
definitely
believe in,
have to believe it. Yeah. Yes.
but I could see myself doing it. I could see myself have done it.
Okay. And what was the subject?
I don't remember. And I guarantee you, if you thought hard enough, you could probably think of something where me and you were doing it. And you've told me, no, that's not how it is. And I'm like, whatever, fuck you. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. First of all, you wouldn't say that.
And then
to
I
me,
realize, yeah, she might be right, but now I'm going to die on this hill.
I mean, like if you call me out, like if we're in a disagreement and you actually call me out, I would push back as long as I would hold on to it as long as I could. And then if you like totally prove me wrong, I'd be like, whatever. And we'd probably laugh.
You know, you go,
But,
whatever.
like, I've had
You're
that
sleeping
before.
on the couch.
Yeah, I would say something like that. Yeah. I would make a joke out of it in some way. And then I would be like, all right, you got me. But with somebody else in a disagreement, like, no, I don't think I've ever done that. It doesn't sound like something I would do.
We know plenty of people.
Do you think, I would think they always know, they do believe it, but maybe they don't. I don't know. That's crazy to argue something you don't even believe in. So would that be like a preacher that gets up there? Because I've heard that some of these preachers, like especially these mega pastors, don't really believe what they're preaching.
There's
and I'm like, that is insane to me.
That we've heard stories of that don't believe anymore, but just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And putting it out there, but they don't personally believe. They've lost their own faith because of whatever.
And they're preaching it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you could maybe do it for a little while because we did dance on the line. Like we would go to church and they were preaching stuff that I was not agreeing with. And it was really rubbing me the wrong way, but we didn't do it very long before I was like, I cannot keep going here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah, there's people, and we know people
thing.
too that we've proven them wrong in an argument to their face.
I think they don't see that they're wrong though, Dan. I think that they really do believe that they're right. They're seeing a word on a page that's not there.
But the kicker is that in the moment they'll be like, okay, yeah, maybe not. But then they keep arguing.
They'll just buckle down.
And then in the future, they've just dug their heels in even deeper.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
On, hey, that whole thing you're saying is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Yeah.
But they're getting something out of believing it or pretending to believe it.
Yeah. It's their own pride or whatever that might hold them up. So, yeah. So in case you haven't talked about it, you figured it out, debatable topics and things that we used to believe and don't believe, we are going to get into Charlie Kirk. And not a whole lot, I don't think. I mean, I think this is kind of the format we should probably go to more, where it's more of me and you just talking. And when we finally get, hopefully in the next week or so, get the couch set up or the chairs where it can just be us like we do, converse and talk about random shit.
Where we can actually see each other face to face rather than in this fake, clean, very perfect kitchen that I would not, I mean,
you've done a good job. Nice. I like how you organized the cups.
A little Airbnb maybe? No.
The one thing that's
there's a cup missing.
This
is
cup
the one
right
missing?
Here.
That's because it's right there on the counter. Right. How do I point at it? Right here. By the toaster.
That's orange.
It's being used, Dan.
That's orange. This
one.
It's
orange. Orange is yellow. It's just the way the light is hitting it. Oh wait, that might be that red one.
There's the yellow one.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
All
okay.
Right. It's kind of.
We've got that figured out, our background.
But we're going to talk about kind of the perspective that we realize that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people were to think about it for a little bit, a lot of people that have deconstructed are also in too of this in between.
Mm-hmm.
We are, if you're looking at it from a generational standpoint, Gen X is kind of the go between boomers and millennials and Gen Z and all this. And we can associate. So when the boomers are talking about landlines and snail mail and all this stuff, and the Gen Z are like, what are you talking about? This is ridiculous. We can be like, no, we were in that transition period because we transitioned a whole lot in the world.
We transitioned.
Well, the world transitioned around us, and we lived through.
We were the
all
first
of it.
generation that was like that knows before like social media and all that.
Yeah.
and also are like the boomers know it, but they don't use it.
Yeah.
Really. They don't understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like this very first generation. We're not the first, like our kids are the first generation to actually grow up. Social media is from birth on.
So
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we kind of are in this in between where we know the religious right wing viewpoint on things, but we've stepped out of it and opened our eyes in the world. And we may not be complete radical leftist. I know me and you aren't, but we're more left of center, but not very, I wouldn't say we're very far left of center. If you were to actually have a,
but we lean left. I would just say, we see more good in the left side,
but we're a lot closer to the center
than the right.
We're seeing both perspectives, and we're trying to balance these out so we can be this in between that can kind of understand both and see both. That
the extremes are the problem always. It seems like
the far right can't see the left, the far left can't see the right, but we can see both. And I think that's kind of where we're going to attack this from, on what we're seeing, some of the things we've seen on social media and all that, and kind of discuss it from that viewpoint, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the one thing to just say here too is the reason, obviously there's a lot of us that have deconstructed from fundamentalist Christianity. And so I think we are in that unique position of we were conservatives because it is, I mean, they almost go hand in hand, right? Conservatism and fundamentalist Christianity. And we were there. We've come outside of that. We see the other side. We've listened to their, arguments too. And kind of, I don't think we ever went extreme left, but we can hear them, right? But we also know how the right thinks. And it's the same with as Christians, when we were Christians, we know how they think. And we also hear the voices of atheists. And for a while, played with it myself, but didn't stay there very long.
Not only that, we see other religions too. So Buddhism.
And it's not like we know all that stuff, but we know that there's a perspective, and it's fair that there's a perspective that's different, right? But whereas people who grow up in a certain one, it's very hard to know. There's others that are valid. Okay. Or maybe not valid.
And we'll build on that point. But first, let's play a little game to get ourselves flowing a little bit. The creative juice is going. Shake it out, shake it out. All right. Ready? All right, we're going to play a game called Kirk or Quirk. Is it an actual Charlie Kirk quote, or is it a satirical quote created that would be a quirk?
Okay.
And don't give me the quirky smile. All right. Believing in climate change is like believing the earth is flat.
Quirk.
That was actually said by him. A Kirk quote, which is kind of unique. And I think this might be a perspective we kind of get into too. That goes in the face of a lot of these extreme right sects that are in Christianity, that are so devout to the 6-day creation and this was created, that of course the earth is flat because God
it's the firmament thing that they got it. And it's set on 4 pillars or something. There's other verses, they use.
So he's kind of.
But why would that go in their face? Because they would agree, if the earth is flat, they probably agree in no climate change too.
Well,
I don't know if those go hand in hand.
Believing in climate change is like believing the earth is flat.
I know he's making it sound like it's bad, but they might be like, they might go hand in hand. Believing the earth is flat and believing in no climate change.
Yeah, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying,
I know what he's saying. He's trying to be derogatory.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they actually might go together. Are you following me? Like if someone does believe the earth is flat, might be like, well, yeah, of course they go together. Because if we believe the earth is flat, I don't know. Maybe an flat earther does think that there's no climate change. I don't know. I'm thinking it from the flat earther's point of view.
Well, a flat
Move
earther
on.
does believe that it's probably no climate change either.
That's what I'm saying. So they probably wouldn't see it as an insult. They'd be like, yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm lost in your reasoning. Your A plus B isn't equal to C here. So
it is to me.
That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. All right. If God wanted us to recycle, he would not have made landfills.
That's a quirk.
Yeah.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of your family actually came up with that. God created it all, landfills and everything.
Well, they would probably believe that in a sense.
All right. College is just Hogwarts for Marxists.
Now, that's a Kirk. No?
No, that's a quirk.
Oh, he probably wouldn't refer to Hogwarts because he'd probably think that was satanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad Lord of the Rings doesn't have a school Hobbit school.
Well, who's the evil guys in Lord of the Rings? I don't remember.
The
Ring?
Sword Order.
Is the ring the evil thing? I don't know.
I can't remember.
All right. The guy with the long blonde hair or the long white hair. Yeah.
Gandalf.
No, not Gandalf. As you can see, we're not we've seen the movies. All right.
I only seen the one, and I was like, you guys were like, let's watch the next one. I'm like, these are.
Did I ever watch them fully? Was I crocheting? I was probably busy doing something with my hands. There's no way I sat there for 3 hours.
Just drag on. I don't want to follow this. Anyways, the free market will solve racism.
A Kirk.
It is a Kirk.
How so?
Because
I'm curious as to what he meant by that.
I think what he's probably saying is that the free market will vote with your dollars. So if this company is being racist and doing their racist practices, you don't spend money with that company, and then that racist company will go out of business.
I mean, it's one way of, I guess some people might think that would solve it, but I don't. Yeah. I think you need more than that for sure. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, it could have an effect, but it's just not how things work.
Well, it doesn't. There's such a huge mindset of it doesn't matter. There'd be so much, and people can get so subtle with their racism. Yeah. And, well, the thing is, then you got to prove it, hold up the courts.
As we're seeing now, the more that these businesses grow, it doesn't affect them. So you do a boycott on these businesses, and they're like, okay.
They've got so much money coming in.
But, we control everything.
And they
anyways.
own other businesses. Yeah. They don't just own one business. It's like, 10 people own 10 companies own everything.
I mean, maybe on a small scale in your town, that little mom and pop, like the bakery that didn't want to sell. It would have an impact, maybe. We didn't want to sell gay people cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they went out of business pretty quick after that.
Did they? I hope so.
I can't remember. I think they might have. And they ended up suing because of whatever. And it's like, it's your own fault. You refused business and it got out. So on a small scale, it does kind of work. But on the grand scale of things, no, not the systematic
issues.
That
one lady who wouldn't issue a marriage license to the two guys. And then she's actually been in the news again recently where she's trying to push her stupid agenda more. Go away. She did lose her job though, didn't she? Ooh. I mean, it was legal in that state and she wouldn't issue a marriage license to them. Something like that.
I don't know for sure.
But anyways, but she would just, not knowing for sure, I'm sure she claimed Christian persecution.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So all right, we're warmed up. We're in the Charlie mood of things. So let's get into this. So obviously everyone knows what kind of happened with him and what's going on. And I think first and foremost, we should come out in front and just say it. Personally, I didn't agree with a lot of what he said. A lot of his viewpoints and where he wanted the country to go, I was directly opposed to. That being said, he did not need to have to lose his life over that. That's not how you solve issues. Anything is going to complicate everything even more in the long run. It's going to cause more chaos and confusion, and it's going to stir up emotions.
People will turn him into something he's not.
Yeah,
people are turning him into a martyr.
Yeah. And it kind of defeats the purpose, because I think you need to have this in the realm of ideas and battle there in thought and just a battle in the world of ideas on how this all needs to be done, instead of actual physical violence being performed on someone. That doesn't solve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even though so many people would hope that certain people wouldn't be around tomorrow, it's not going to solve a whole lot. You still got issues that need to be dealt with. It's not going to take care of the racism. It's not going to take care of the poverty. It's not going to take care of the homophobia. That's still going to be there, and it still needs to be debated. Now you just created a martyr for these people to follow.
You added fuel to the fire.
Yeah. So,
I want to say like how I feel about it. I would say that I'm not going to shame anyone who has a strong reaction of sadness or a strong reaction of gladness, because first of all, your feelings are just the truth of what you feel. And I don't think we need to judge those. They don't lie. Okay.
Yeah.
If you feel happy about it, you feel happy about it. And if you feel sad about it, you feel sad about it. You're not a piece of shit, regardless of how you feel about it. But I do think we need to, I guess for me, it's okay to be sad that there are children that won't have their father as they're growing up, right? I can be sad about that, but I can also be glad that a voice that was spewing dangerous rhetoric isn't shouting anymore.
Yes.
So those both can be true, and we can just stop judging people for how we're reacting to this, because everybody's in shock still. Some people are more in that stage, and there's a grief, not because people are grieving over, Charlie Kirk, but because they're grieving. There was trauma. There's a traumatic event, and the trauma is what follows.
Yeah.
So how we deal with it. So I just think people need to be more gracious with how people are dealing with it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to make judgments either way of how people, we're just going to say how we feel, and not tell people like, you need to feel the way we say.
Because I've seen individuals that have come out, Sam that we had on here last June of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And he made a comment on it, and he had a definite perspective on it of he wasn't sad. He wasn't, because... And
it's understandable with what was said by Charlie.
He was directly attacked by the rhetoric and had to deal with what Charlie stirred up against him.
Yep.
Because,
he was causing suffering for other people.
Yeah.
By the hand, maybe not by Charlie's mouth. And I mean, it was Charlie's mouth that was fuel to the fire. And then there's all these personal experiences that people have who are listening to people like Charlie, and then having these interactions with people that Charlie spewed hate towards. Yeah. To be frank, right? And then that's how he's directly affected, because it affects his life. Yeah. And that is okay that he feels that way. And I know he doesn't need my permission, but I'm just saying, like, we need to stop, like, telling people that they're scum if they're not, like, sad. No, they're not.
Yeah, there's in essence, their bully is eliminated.
Yes, it's not like they caused what happened to happen. Yeah. But they're not It would be the same for people who are conservatives, that hated Anton LaVey. When I was a kid, Anton LaVey, who was an atheist. I don't know if he's still alive. Maybe.
He was a Satanist. Yeah.
Satanist. Yeah, he was a Satanist. And Satanists tend to be atheists, don't they? They don't really have any belief in a god they're not worshiping Satan. Anyways, so if he were to die, would they be sad if he died in the same way? I think they would say it was God's judgment, honestly.
Well,
that's how they would word it.
Even a more practical, we know and seen videos of preachers that have been rejoicing when an abortion clinic went up in flames and if that doctor got hurt or that they've prayed for it. So,
well, even like when you had Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember how they were saying that was God's judgment on all those people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They weren't feeling sad.
No,
they were like, it's God's judgment. It's right. So, I mean, they are guilty of the same thing that they are projecting onto others.
Yeah. And that's kind of, and we see that from the viewpoint where we're at, because we're also hearing from people that we know that are still deeply into faith. And we've heard the messages that they've put out where it's, I agreed with him and I agreed with everything he said. And I'm part of his organization. And if you're willing to do that to him, that means you're willing to do that to me.
Yeah. Or it's more, if you're happy about him dying, then it makes me think you'll be happy about me dying. And it's like, first of all, this was a public figure that was feeding the minds of lots of people with stuff that some people, us included, would say is pretty much hate speech, right? It is. It was against minorities of all sorts, black women. He said some there are things I didn't follow Charlie very well. I would hear little clips here and there. I think I might even have done a TikTok on him once on something he said. But now I've heard a lot of the things that he said, and it's disgusting. I mean, just disgusting stuff he was saying. And I'm not saying he didn't say anything that was good. There are, things I'd be like, oh, I can agree with that, about that are nice, universal, probably beliefs, but those don't subtract the other stuff, I don't know. I don't know.
So, but I mean, that's kind of what we're talking to. We're in the middle of all this stuff. So we see the people of the faith that are, this is awful. This is going, you hate him, you hate me. And this direct correlation, you want this to happen to him, then you want it to happen to me. It's like, okay, no, you're being dramatic, calm down.
And people, to be fair, the people we heard that from were young people. And I also give a lot more grace to young brains, right? They are not developed enough. They haven't lived enough life. I give a lot more leniency to someone who's, under the age of 25, 26. They're young.
Yeah.
Their brains are not developed.
Honestly, that's who he was directly talking to. He wanted that. He was always on college campuses. He wanted that.
He's trying to get those young voters.
Yeah. It's the whole, Shiny Happy People season 2, and the, what was that? What was the name of that group that they were doing?
With that guy.
Yeah. Luce.
I can't remember.
Ron Luce.
Yeah.
And Acquire the Fire and
Teen
Mania. Yeah.
Teen Mania. Yeah.
Where they were trying to raise up this generation.
And didn't we see somewhere that they were trying to get the voting age just recently to 14?
No, I thought they were trying to get it to 21.
No, they wanted it to drop. At first, they wanted it to go up because I was like, why do you want it to drop to 14? Somebody suggested it, and it was a Republican of some sort, conservative. And I was like, why would they want that? But now,
honestly,
I'm wondering, first of all, they're in the children's house.
The
children are still in there.
You're old enough to marry. So
that is, yes, that's exactly what it was. That's what it was. Because I was like, they wanted it to be that age, and it probably is so that any pedophilia, they could say like they're an adult, they're 14. That's what we're going to consider an adult now. But it was also probably so that they could maybe even enlist them in the military. I don't know. If you can vote, can you be in the military? And those are kids still living at home. Those are like 8th graders, right? 9th graders, maybe. And so then they could also, the parents, which would be conservative, would be they would just basically tell their kid how to vote.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's really ideally
think about yourself at that age. You would have voted exactly with what your mom and dad told you to do. Because you didn't know any better. You weren't watching anything. They drag you to the poll and be like, just put anything that says R by it.
Well, as a conservative woman, I would not pay attention a lot of times to politics. You paid more attention. And I'd be like, who do I vote for? Who are we voting for?
Unfortunately, I was being guided by Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the greatest time of our lives.
No, but it's something we did and experienced. Yeah. And I'm just glad we never voted for the one who's in office now, ever.
Yeah. So
but doesn't matter. We helped get us where we are.
But there's things we've seen debates or people talking where you saw a video the other day where it was extreme right and extreme left woman talking to each other. And the one that was on the right was saying, Charlie said so many good things and was listing them off. And the woman that was on the left was like, I never knew he said that. And then the woman on the left was saying, but he still said so many horrific things that caused so much damage and hurt and harm to people. And the woman on the right had never heard that.
Said, I've never heard those things. Yeah. Did they change each other's minds? No, I don't think so. But they did, first of all, cause each other to understand the perspective of the other. You know, if you've never heard his dangerous rhetoric, like I said, he said some things that I could be like, oh, okay, yeah. So if that's all you hear, if that's all Fox News and your social media, algorithm is giving you, that's all you're going to know of him, right? And likewise, if you only know the negative, you're also, it's dehumanizing to him in a way too, because he is a human and violence is not the answer, period.
No.
So, and, more than just him having what happened to him is the trauma that everybody that was there saw, right? It was, these were young people.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's kids. Those are still kids, and you've affected their brain. And if they don't get they don't work through it, talk through it, there's so many things, see a therapist, something to work through that. It's not just Charlie and Charlie's family. It affected more people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's a whole lot there too. So, it's kind of coming into this and looking at it from that perspective of, we don't condone this behavior. Even though he kind of did in his rhetoric. He said that was the price of having, what was it? An armed citizenry comes with a price. Someone may not agree with you and could have issues because
he said it was worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that did this, the kid, had some issues, and maybe we can get into that for a little bit because I did a little experiment on our children. Okay. So we had the 26-year-old, the 20-year-old, and then we called the 18-year-old.
She's not 26, she's 25.
She's almost 26. Get used to it. You have
she
a 26-year-old.
Heard that, she'd be like, say it right.
But then we got the 18-year-old involved and the 15-year-old involved. And all I did was read what was reported to be the inscriptions on the shell casings. Right? And I'd read whatever the one was with ooh, and they giggled.
Notice his bulge or something.
Notice his bulge, ooh. Yeah.
Something like that.
They giggled at that. Now, again, they have no context to what I'm talking about.
They don't know what you're reading or why you're reading it. Yeah.
So then I read the Hey Fascist, catch this. And immediately they're like, oh, that's game code. It's from that game, whatever, Hellfire or whatever it was. So they knew what that was. And when I was going through all four of them, they knew each one. They'd either giggle or understand what it was. And then I told them, and then I let them know, you might hear that, so don't Google or giggle or anything like that about it, because it's a little more serious. But it shows the mental state of what this kid was in. And he was an ultra-right, conservative Republican, brought up in a strict
What I've heard,
background.
though, there's some sort of horseshoe thing they keep using. They're like, he's far right and far left at the same time. And neither. Or something like that. Like he's far right, like he was raised far right, but he also has, like, he's on the extremes of both ends. Like he's but he's also like, their goal is to like either be funny or take down the system that is, because it's ridiculous to them.
Yeah. They either want to be humorous or cause chaos with these, the meme culture.
That's as far as we understand. That's what his agenda was.
But I think it speaks a lot to these kids now that, one, mainstream media is trying to analyze this stuff, and they can't do it because they don't understand meme culture. They have to get young kids in here to explain it to them. And it's
confusing.
Even our kids are trying to explain it to us, and
like a groiper or a group. I'm just like, this. What? Like, I don't understand all this. Like, whatever.
You guys got your own words. But these kids have grown up in this time. So all these kids that are 26 or younger were 16 when Trump finally took office. So I'm looking at my kids, the youngest was 5. So they've grown up in this turmoil for 10 years now.
Wow. I never even thought about that.
And they're dealing with all of this extremism on both sides, because that's all you ever hear. You don't hear the middle ground. You hear this extreme right and extreme left and blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to reconcile all this and, young minds trying to balance this out and understand it. So obviously you're going to get a guy that's going to pull from both sides of that, because he can see truth in this and see truth in this, and get a good, healthy bit of cognitive dissonance built up from your religious background. And what do you get?
Well, and it gives some momentum, because we're kind of at this standstill of these two parties just butting heads, and we are in. Everybody knows something's got to change. We're not going back to the way it was, Republican, and we vote for a Republican or a Democrat. Like, something's got to give. The two-party system doesn't work.
No.
It has caused so much division, and this president promotes the division on purpose, and his whole team does the same thing. They want the chaos for their own power and gain.
They want the chaos to distract from exposing anything that may be coming up from them. Because the chaos
so they're doing
only
all
comes
sorts
out,
of things. We know they're doing things while they're distracting everybody, because it's about every 2 weeks something crazy.
Yeah.
It feels like. You know what I'm saying? There's no peace.
Don't let me get off on a floppy dick here, but it was only, was this 7 months ago, we were talking about taking over Canada and Greenland. But we don't even think about that now.
They're just
There's so much
wild
plan.
Shit.
Yeah.
People, and that is the plan. So you forget. And I mean, was this planned? We will never know.
No,
probably. But it's like, it's sure it sure can work as a distraction from the Epstein files. It was a convenient
distraction to come out.
Yeah. And will it do that for the masses?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's like, we have to be able to, a lot of people just don't get involved in politics. We were there.
Yeah.
I was there where I didn't pay attention to this stuff. And a lot of people I've heard a lot of people, even conservatives, say they'd never heard of Charlie Kirk, right? Mm-hmm. They're not watching the news. They just are doing what we were doing, what I was doing as a conservative. I didn't know any of I didn't like politics. And I was a white woman with that privilege. I didn't have to like think about it. And I also had 5 kids, 10 and under, and I was a stay-at-home mom, constantly like trying to like, make ends meet on one income with all these kids homeschooling. Like I was tired. I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to
Yeah.
like look into politics, right? So I would just vote because in my mind, Democrats were baby killers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically what I was taught since I was a kid. So I would just vote Republican. And a lot of these people are doing that without actually knowing what is being said, what terrible things are being said. Could that be what comes out of this whole thing that we can take for that's something that can go in the box of, for lack of a better way of saying this, in the good box, that people can see like, hey, you might not realize what's being said, by people like Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't know. They haven't been paying attention. They didn't even know who he was. And that now they're like, oh, and we feel so sad. He was a good man. Because what? He had a wife and children, and he was spewing conservative values, which they associate with wholesomeness. And it's not wholesomeness that he was pushing.
No, it's not. And I think maybe that's where we can go to kind of put a conclusion on this, is being in the middle. Because we're seeing, and you're talking to this conservative mindset that doesn't see the negative affect of what this rhetoric puts out in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't see
line
how
up
it
with the
affects
Jesus that they claim.
all these other people in the world and what it does to them and what kind of harm and hurt it promotes on them.
Well, and it scares people. Some people are so scared right now, and it's just sad.
And to be frank, hi, I'm Frank. We'll put a little drum thing in there. So, but to be frank with it, is we were there too. We didn't see it until we broke out of the bonds of religion.
Yeah.
And thankfully for our niece, we started interacting with the LGBT community because she was very much in tune with it and involved with it. A lot of her friends were part of the LGBT community, and she would bring them over and we'd meet them, and we started humanizing them because we could see them and interact with them and see what they weren't. They weren't caricatures and some sort of... You
couldn't just slap a label on them and move on. You were like, this person has a name, they have a family, they have hopes and dreams, they have...
Yeah.
They
love,
like certain foods and don't like others. And, they're human. We started to see people, and that is the solution, is people just coming together, having discussions, but without the labels. Like, it's the labels can be helpful to an extent, but they're becoming very damaging at this point, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's the point that we can get across, and everyone else that's in this area that we find ourselves in, is being able to expose some of this rhetoric and what it causes from both sides. You have people cheering that this man's life was taken. It's like, no, that's not a good thing. Yes, it might silence his voice, but I always think of the thing of when people are talking about when we were in the Middle East and still are in the Middle East fighting these wars. And you go in and, oh, we got rid of this terrorist. That's great. And everyone would cheer. But then you think about it for a little bit. That terrorist probably had 2 or 3 kids. And they saw someone with an American flag on their sleeve come in and take their father. What have you just done? You've turned one terrorist and radicalized his 3 children to hate America now.
Yeah.
Because of what he's done.
And I think something that's also interesting to point out there is we have this tendency to have more empathy for those who are like us and look like us. And, and that is part of how we've been conditioned. It is not, I'm not saying that we need to feel like shame about that. I think we need to become aware that we do that. Do we have well, even just taking the Democrats who were, murdered in their home because they were Democrats in Minnesota, right? That was just kind of like swept under the rug. I didn't hear any conservatives feeling sad, right? They weren't saying anything. And probably if they did, it probably wasn't like this deep sadness.
Yeah.
Some of them maybe. So to sit here and get upset at people who aren't doing the same for Charlie or who are acting the same way is hypocritical. But also the people who are saying things about Charlie that are, it's just this thing where you just have to let people have the feelings that they have. Because if you were to sit here and say you have to feel bad, well, it's almost like telling somebody who is being preyed upon to be sad that they're not being preyed upon by that person anymore. And that's just crazy. You can't, no way will I do that. And so you can't label people. You can't just say, oh, you're a Democrat, so you're happy that he died, because I'm not happy. I don't think that this was how this needed to be resolved. But I'm not, and you can't look at somebody who's a conservative and just be positive that they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes like, we have to stop looking at the labels are just causing, and just being in the middle of asking questions instead. Because I saw a guy on a post today where he was saying, if I come up to you and I say, who did you vote for? Well, automatically, I'm going to put you in a box. I'm going to say, okay, then you believe this, 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 and this, right?
Yeah.
Just based on who you vote for. But instead, if I said to you, what do you think about this policy? Like, what's your view on this? He's like, I'm going to learn much more about this person. Probably not going to change their mind. They might have a completely different view than I do, but I'm going to learn about them and they're going to learn about me. And it's not this hate-filled, like, I already got you pigeonholed, because like you said at the beginning, we're in the middle of this political thing. But I think a lot of people who we used to know who are conservatives, when we left Christianity, they automatically assumed that we were liberal or very leftist.
We were actually
whatever they would call us.
You were actually told, now you want to kill babies.
Yes,
and now you want to have,
like killing babies. They said that you like killing babies and you like Christians being beheaded.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm still the same person. I have empathy and
it's
probably
not like
more.
This switch that, all right.
That's how they view it, though. They because of this black and white thinking. And what we're trying to say is almost everything you need to be in the middle. There's nuance to everything. And Christian conservatism, evangelical, they don't have room for nuance. You can't control with nuance. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it boils down to. The leaders need that black and white thinking.
Yeah, and that's
why
they
use nuance for themselves. They do.
Yeah, and I think the focus has to not be on the leadership as much as it needs to be the interpersonal relationships with the people. And just saying, hey, you know who I am. What have I done you wrong? What have I done to you that has affected you in a negative way? Since I changed my beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm still the same person and still I just have grown and learned new things in the world and have a different perspective on things, yes. But it doesn't change my character a whole lot.
Yeah. Actually, to me, it enhances my character.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Your arm's
they would disagree because they would be
yourself on the back like that.
They would say, because you swear, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And other things.
It goes back to
like,
the black and white that they have in their little realms that they live in. If you're not this, then you're automatically this. If you're not a Christian, then you're a baby killing.
Then you're an atheist. That's how they think. Yeah. There's nothing in the middle.
Rooting for beheadings in the Middle East, and you're going to swear and drink and curse and do all sorts of drugs.
God. That's why they'll say to atheists, you hate God. And atheists will be like, I don't hate God. I don't believe God exists at all. Yeah. I mean, it's that's how they view things. It's just very, if it's not this, then it has to be this, because they don't know, they don't have critical thinking skills, or they're very stunted, and they, so that they don't know how to like reason outside of their box.
Yeah.
And so that's when they go offline, because they can't go there.
Yeah. And that's where the ability to debate and talk to individuals helps.
Yeah.
Because you start making them think, and if you can get them to see a different perspective outside of what they've been forced to live within, and see the humanity outside of it. Because Christians are going to claim that we're not racist. God, brown, yellow, black, white, you're all glorious in God's sight.
That's not the song, but okay.
It's my song. And they claim this. And it's like, awesome. I appreciate that you don't want to be racist and that you want to love everyone. But now let's look at some of this rhetoric that's getting put out by you. And not necessarily you. By you, I mean some of your teachers and some of your systems that you're following.
When you hear them say it, you don't separate yourself from that. You back them up. You support them.
Which is
because you have like one what's it called when they vote just for one issue? Because
one issue voter.
Yeah, a one issue voter. That's really how they've got people, because of the abortion thing. They snagged people just that way. I mean, I ain't gonna, like, the way they did this was so sneaky, and they are smart. Yeah. They are smart.
Well, and conservatives, how they got here, they were smart about than what they've done, what Germany did in the 30s. They used propaganda, and they alienated and demonized people.
Dehumanized,
and demonified them a little bit too. They put out this propaganda against the Jewish people. Well, what has happened with these religious systems? They demonized and propagandized against the LGBTQ community, against
Germany
the abortion,
did that too. Yeah.
Community.
And they did socialists or social democrats. They were against them. Yeah.
And it's effective, because now all of a sudden you have this imagery of these evil homosexuals going out and they're trying to do all sorts of things to children. And it's like, well, no, you're actually projecting, preacher, because you're the ones that are more than likely the ones that do it.
And if you think about it, the stuff they come up with that they say they're doing, you don't even think about that until they've said something. And it's like, okay, that came from somewhere. How do you know this? I don't know.
Yeah. And when the truth gets exposed on all of it, it's that the church is the one propagating all this stuff, and they just projected it onto that community.
They do it. Yep. They need you to look other places rather than at them, because then they'll get exposed and they'll lose their power and the money and all the things that they want.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's what they're going against. So when they start demonizing, these people start believing it. So that's why you had a whole nation in Germany thinking the Jews were awful people. That's why you have a whole system of religious-minded folks thinking homosexuals are awful and that they're given into this demonic idea of lust.
Well, and the weird thing with the homosexual, like the whole LGBTQ, when you talk to somebody and they find out someone's gay, or you even talk about gay men, instantly people are thinking about how they have sex. You don't do that with straight people at all.
Like you don't?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember having a conversation.
I do it all the time when I meet someone. You're straight? Okay. All right.
God, gross. But it's like, I remember having a conversation with someone, and I was like, why does your mind go right there? Like, you don't think that way about anybody else who may be doing some of the same things that you're so grossed out that these people are doing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's just interesting. I was like, who's the perv here?
Yeah.
Is it two consenting adults, doing whatever they want in the bedroom, which it used to be that Republicans would say, keep, whatever you do in the bedroom, that's your business. But now it's like, no, we don't want you to have, it can't be your business. It's our business,
Yeah.
and their government reach of the conservatives is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. In one way, and then the Democratic, or I'm going to say far left, because I don't think like Democrats. I think Democrats are kind of softer, like left. Is that the extreme over there?
Yeah.
So that would be the counter to a conservative.
It'd be the counter to the extreme right. I don't know what you'd call it.
Okay, but I feel like conservatives are pretty good. I mean, and maybe that term could be used a little.
Conservative is very broad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would cover.
So your far right and your far left, I think your far left, would want government paying for everything. And, so you might not have as many choices, but you have like, it takes a lot of your money, right? And so conservatives are like, that's big government. It's all about money, it seems like, with conservatives. Like, don't take my money. But then also they want this big government that's in everybody else's homes, but not theirs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And that's the ironic thing with the conservative movement over the last 20 years. Because when I was listening to Rush and Glenn Beck and all them, it was small government, no government reach into anything in my life. Stay out of my life. Stay out of my pocketbook.
But they wanted it for themselves and not everybody else.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden it's changed to, no, the government needs to dictate who you can marry, how you can marry, how many kids you need to have. This is the religion you need to worship. And it's gone
because they think they're in charge, and they think they will always be in charge. That is the ignorance. They think they will always be in charge, and even if they do some weird thing and are in charge longer than they should be, they will not. This will fall at some point. When? I don't know. How? I don't know. But it's, like truth and love will win.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing with extremism, is that whether it's extreme right or extreme left, you always need to have scapegoats to blame stuff on.
It creates enemies naturally.
Once that scapegoat starts being eliminated, you need to create a new scapegoat. And then you need to create a new one. Eventually, you have no more scapegoats to create unless you're coming after yourself.
Well, that's what happens. It eventually takes itself down. Yeah. Which kind of, I don't know, the right, extreme right is splitting up pretty good. And maybe the left is too. I don't know.
This whole Charlie Kirk incident is a example of that. Because the kid was extreme right. Grew up in extreme right, very much Second Amendment following, God believing, Bible thumping, everything. And they didn't agree with an extreme right perspective of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Well, and you have
because he wasn't going far enough.
Exactly.
With the views.
And he was going farther probably than his parents, right? And there's just all these people, there's these different sects that will tear each other apart. But also on the way left side, you have people like Dean and Parker who debate, right? And they both had strong reactions to what happened and felt sadness. And sadness not because of what he was saying, because they didn't like him as a person, the stuff he was saying, but they do recognize he's a human. And they were, they were sad that they're having a reaction, but their followers are coming out. And like a third, I think Dean said, of his followers are saying, like, we're not going to follow you anymore because partly he's young. And he said, you're a piece of shit if you're okay with this, if you're rejoicing. Right.
Yeah.
And instead of just allowing them to grieve, yes, they might be feeling that way. Give people time, people time and space. But he's young. He's like a 21-year-old kid. So allowing for that. But also it's like it's causing the left, there's people saying, like, if you're saying it's okay, or if you're trying to, they'll blame, like even us talking about this, we could be accused of either siding with him, like, oh, you're just because he's a white male, you don't, you're kind of like, he's like you. And so you're having more empathy. Now I would have empathy for anybody. But is there some underlying factor of his whiteness that is playing into it? That I'm not going to deny that I've been programmed by society. That could be at play here. And that's something I've got to work through and figure out, like, because I don't want to be that way, but I don't know if that is having an effect, right? I'm not crying, or I haven't shed a tear over what happened, but I was in shock. Like, I was like, that's awful what happened. But I don't remember what point I was trying to make. Maybe I already made it.
That checks.
Yeah, that does.
But
you know what I'm saying. So it's just, I don't know. We have to have compassion for one another, but also understand that.
And I think so. You kind of conclude this. I think you kind of hit on something there of this fracturing, because you're seeing the right fracture because of the incident in and of itself when the facts started coming out.
And then they find out it's one of their own, and they were dead set it wasn't.
Happening on people on the death watch of our president, because they want to. Then they can start fighting over there and trying to fill in that vacuum somehow. Power that comes out. But you also mentioned that Dean and Parker, the
extreme left is having,
I think that's a good thing, where these extremists are factioning off, because it's going to bring more power back to the middle with numbers.
Yeah.
And we can kind of see, okay, you extremes, you guys are going to be out there, and you're always going to be out there. But you don't need to be controlling.
You need
anything.
To shrink.
Yeah.
No, you need to shrink, and you should never have power.
Yeah.
We should not have people that are extremes in power ever.
Yeah.
We need people. That's why we need more parties, probably. I don't know. I don't know what the future, like, we don't know that stuff, but we do have opinions about this, obviously, that you take it or leave it. But it's just, there's a lot of middle ground that I think maybe some people will start having more conversations, like the lady having the conversation about what she had heard about Kirk, and the other lady what she had heard about Kirk, and having those conversations. We just need to be open to it. And that's being open to meet in the middle somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all need to be willing to meet in the middle. Just like I didn't like hearing people, when I was reading Dean's comments, the comments in his thread where people were like, basically it's your white privilege that, I had to, like, be open to, like, is there a white privilege at play here? And there likely is, I've read people saying, like, he had 2 blonde-haired children. Oh, what does that have to do with anything? But it might play on the subconscious program of blonde hair, blue eyes, that just innocence that our subconscious has been programmed to think that way. It's not true, and we're not evil because we might think that way. We are programmed, and we can reprogram ourselves, but we have to become aware. We have to be willing to sit in the middle with that uncomfortable feeling and work through this stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think that's the key here is the people, and again, I think people that have deconstructed are familiar with this and can be a critical part in this, to be able to kindly and with empathy approach either side and be like, well, okay, let's have a discussion about this. And instead of coming out with, like you said earlier, who'd you vote for? Instead being like, why do you feel this way about the incident? And then get the actual, and just open up the conversation and be like, well, if you're talking to someone that's a supporter of Charlie, and they're like, well, this is how I believed, and I feel like I'm threatened now because people are, if they're willing to go after him, they're going to come after me. And it's like, well, why do you think people want to go after him? What is happening? Kind of, then you can enlighten them on the perspective of,
like, if they came
how
from,
the rhetoric is affecting actual people in this country.
Yeah. And they might, at least some people will become self-aware, probably for the first time, that there are other perspectives that can hold, that have, you can understand why someone thinks the way they do. Because right now it's, you either believe in God and you love God, and so then you support all this party and everything they say, or you hate God and you're a baby killer and you believe all of this, right? That's how they think. So we need to just kind of.
And
maybe deconstructionists can help with that.
And it's going to work
area.
both ways, because there are going to be people on the left and be like, why are you celebrating this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not value life in and of itself?
Yeah.
You know,
where's the empathy that, or do you believe that empathy only applies to those who you agree with? Because they might. I don't know.
Yeah, you've proven the point of what Christians actually believe. If you're going to rejoice in this, that you are happy about that.
Or can you understand maybe how a conservative might see you as a hypocrite if you preach empathy and then you rejoice in someone's murder? Like, there's a whole lot of ways you can do this with a non-judgmental approach just to get people to talk to each other. But this also takes you being kind of grounded, and you got to be in a healthy headspace to do any of this work. But what we're just basically, I think, saying is people have deconstructed from fundamentalist Christianity are in a unique position to be able to help here in this time and space.
Yep. Excellent. Well put, wife. Now go find my blonde hair.
Now I'll get back into my place and put these cups away.
That checks.
I tried to grab it.
All right. So if you're listening on YouTube, give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate that greatly. Subscribe. It just helps us out, and we just love that. So do that, please, and thank you. If you're listening on any of the stream podcast platforms, give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate that greatly. And if you got time, leave a comment or a review or anything of the sort, because we love hearing from you. It makes us so happy and giddy. And if you want to check out anything we're doing, DannyCan.com. It'll be listed in the description below on whatever you're listening to. But it's got everything we're doing, and we have a bunch of other links to other stuff Candy's doing too that you can click on in the description below. If
you want to work with me one-on-one to get some nervous system regulation, because everybody's nervous system is, I would say most people are completely dysregulated right now.
Yeah, especially in this time. Not just for this incident, but just for the last
just a whole
few years of what's been going on. It's just been chaos. So it's good to get grounded and regulated. And
then you can make better choices and actually maybe help solve things in the country.
So look on them links and click on whatever you might like. But that being said, if you're listening here, you're probably deconstructed. And I think you're in a unique place like we found ourselves in, where you're able to see both sides of an issue in the religious realm. And you can kind of apply that knowledge that you've gained and being able to reconcile all these viewpoints you're getting and finding your path to help be a lantern and a guide, light upon the footsteps of other individuals, so that they can kind of see other perspectives too, because too much of our world is isolated in their own hive-minded thinking. And
a lot of echo chambers.
Yes. And that's causing a lot of the issues we have. So if we can start enlightening people and showing them other perspectives, and that, you don't have to agree with it, but understand also where they're coming from.
And then you might be like, I don't need to create laws against this person, because I can understand that they want love and peace at the same time. Same as me. They need it a different way. So, So you're in a unique place, and it can really probably be a good help for a lot of people. And it might help us deconstruct more. Like I said, there are things we still believe and things we need to deconstruct. And so it's just an ongoing process. That just bleeds into all of your life. So,
So do that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye.